Yes, yes, please. I'm sorry earlier. I think it is, yes, yes, actually, excuse me, it is. Yes, I've been having trouble combination with it, so that's been really challenging as an English teacher. I am so reliant on it. Really, I can use it. Yes. I'm really thinking of staying in Texas for a couple of
Ach, Mann, ja, das bleibt uns nichts erspart hier irgendwie, habe ich das Gefühl. Der Link zum anderen Space scheint irgendwie komischerweise unterbrochen. Was ist jetzt wieder gut?
Okay, shall we start naming names of people that are about to look? Why not? Wieso ist der nicht? Wieso funktioniert nicht? Ja, disconnected. Ist aber connected, habe ich überprüft. Disconnected. Mach mal Action Connect. Nicht. Aber du machst jetzt nicht, Uwe, das muss jetzt echt nicht sein. Hey! I can see us. Oh, good. Oh, good. This is about to get started here. Anything else is good. Yeah, come here. Nice shirt. I know, it's very nice. Huh? Is it custom? Of course. I mean, it's not totally custom. The pattern is the pattern, but you have to order it, and then when you order it, you do the pattern. It's a shop in Plovdiv, and they do all the different Bulgarian patterns. As you normally go for like a
I guess they do it online.
Yeah, it's online. But it takes like 6 weeks to arrive because the order is only produced after the order. Hey, hello. Okay, super.
Okay, I'm just color coding my
who's here and who's missing.
What if it wasn't? Do you have a backup plan?
Okay, I can send you the link directly, otherwise you can go into the group as posted.
In Facebook.
Yes. Although, one second.
This is for me to share, right?
Yes, this is for you to share if you want to join me. This.
Thank you.
Yes, that work.
Dann starten wir mal ein bisschen direkt. Ja.
Sterben hier.
Okay, anyone needs vegetarian food?
No.
Well, okay. Up here, Ryan is not a vegetarian. We don't have any vegetarians.
I'm preparing the lunch.
Yeah, for all the meals,
Best.
Bansko and vegetarian are not going well together in one sentence.
this is true, but we have people coming from outside Bansko, which is why I have to ask.
I don't know why they come, but
How much?
12.
Working?
Yes,
yes.
take a
Take a
seat.
seat.
Why?
Sebastian, Michael is coming later, so we are only missing Ryan and Sebastian.
They are, I think, still in the cafe. I have seen them.
Ryan went to cafe.
Probably he's smoking.
Okay. You already live?
Julie?
Yeah, Patrick,
Oh.
Michael, Arthur.
John? Okay.
4, 5 people.
Very nice. Can we hear? Okay, this is not okay, so we can hear, but we can't use any sound. How are we going to do this?
So I think it's.
So they can hear us with a microphone, right? So Patrick, can you hear me? Can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear me? Patrick, can you hear me?
It's like it's not
It takes a while, right? It takes a while.
Okay.
And if they want to, you have to keep audio. So it's like one to one.
Okay, so in this case, I think we do the introductions first here around the table, and then we ask the online people. Okay? Because the idea is basically welcome to the Coop weekend. We have a pretty packed program. The idea for today is first we'll start with introduction, like who is in the room, also for members that are returning or haven't been here for a while, tell us like how long have you been a member and when have you been a member, and also kind of what are your expectations for the Coop, so why are you here? After that, Coop and I will do a quick statement of why you want to do the Coop. And then we have 2 hours for question and answers for any questions that you might have about the co-working space when it comes to operations, strategy, how we started here. I have already shared some documents in the group. We will share more documents. So basically the idea is that this morning we will understand like where we're coming from and where we want to go to. And then in the afternoon we will start breaking out into different groups to see how, as a co-op, we would actually operate on different topics. And with this, I think, Miroslav, maybe you start with a statement. Everyone has like five minutes or so.
Hi guys, to everyone. I have most of you as friends on Facebook, but now in person. My name is Miro. I'm from Bulgaria. I've been doing business in Bansko for like 13, 14 years. So it's maybe my second home now. I have a place here. I live in Bansko as well as down in Blagoevgrad. I'm working in property management. I'm managing and renting apartments as well as common areas in town. The purpose why I'm here is trying to understand how we can cooperate each other, hopefully make Bansko a better place, because currently Bansko is very nice and beautiful in the winter and we have many tourists, but many people are missing the beautiful piece of Bansko in summer. So if we can join forces together and make Bansko a year-round resort, bring more business in Bansko, and combine that business opportunities with time well spent from the people from all around the world, that's great. So that's why I'm here.
Awesome, very good.
Okay, I'm Rémi. I'm a French guy. I'm a very new member here in Bansko. It's my first day. I arrived 1 week ago, even if it was in my list for a few months. When I started as a digital nomad one year ago, more or less. I'm basically a web content writer in French and Spanish. I work for blogs, for example. And I'm also on a reflection. I've been on a reflection for a few months about how can I be an actor of these wonderful things that we call co-working. I'm very interested in all the collaborative things, and actually I found that managing a co-working space as a co-op is a very logic thing, because we are encouraging collaborative work inside, so it's logical to manage it on a collaborative way also. And cooperative in general has been something that always attracts me also, even if I have never participated in any cooperative. So yes, that's why I'm here. I don't know what to say more. Ask questions if you want.
Thank you.
Thank you. Brian, or me? Go for it. Okay, my name is Philip. I'm just here.
There's a camera.
It's not a
360 camera.
Yeah, you see.
Don't wave at the microphone.
No, I see the screen there. So yeah, I'm here. Although I just started last year as freelancer, switching my corporate job as controller, financial controller, budget controller, project controller, to more web analytic based controlling. And traveled last year also and searched a new home base out, also not in Germany, somewhere else. And then I found co-working Bansko, and I was April, June, first time here this year. And I found the place great, the community great, and also the opportunity with this co-working, because otherwise I would never came to Bansko actually. I just heard from somebody say, oh yeah, there's a cool community, there's a cool place, and just check it out. And I said, yeah, just check it out. And then I moved in September down here to Bansko for long term now. And I want to also get a residency because it's just a cool, silent place, and also like the nature and the landscape in Bulgaria in general and in Bansko. So yeah, I decided to come here, and now I'm also all the time kind of part of the community and try to just bring some more value into the community, sometimes a bit more, sometimes a bit less, but I like to participate in this community and just bring it forward, and also to think about new ideas, what could be better for the community or for place Bansko. And because of this, I just also decided to join this community here to be a bit more bigger part, maybe in the management of the co-working space. And I like the idea of also the co-op as a operational managed thing. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm back here, so I'm just saying who I am and stuff.
Yeah, and like, how long have you been a member? Why do you want to be part of the co-op? What are your expectations?
Yes, so I am Ryan Chatterton. I've been a member for the most part of the last year. I first came to Bansko, just over a year ago. Planned to stay for a month, ended up staying for 3. And I am dating the former community manager of the co-working space. We have an apartment just up the street, and planning on getting residency as well. I work in the co-working industry, so I've founded the co-working space and worked with some others, and kind of been in sort of an industry leadership position for a couple of years now. And so I thought it would be, the co-op idea is really interesting. I've wanted to start another co-working space for a while now, and so kind of getting involved with co-op is interesting for me because, it's kind of a way to reconnect with a lot of the day-to-day of running a space. Also, I think it's a really cool community that we have here, and so I just think it makes sense. That's it.
You can get married. It's a lot easier with residence.
This I know.
Javier, do you want to say hello as well?
I will be in the shadows, but I will be here taking some notes. And yes, my name is Javier. I'm doing an internship here with Co-working Bansko until the end of January. And for this cooperative weekend, I will be working with Julie in the streaming and the documenting process of this weekend that we have ahead. So I wish you all very good talks, and that you will agree, or you will find reasons to not agree in other stuff. But I'm sure that you're a fantastic human group in here, and mostly you will agree, and you have to do this cooperation or start to work on it, because I see you as more than friends, colleagues, and neighbors. So go for it, guys. Make the great community ever, and have fun.
Thank you, awesome.
Since
you mentioned Julie, do you want to say quickly hello?
Yeah, hey guys. So I will be here. I'm helping out with the live streaming. You can't quite see me now, but I'll be in the background.
So my name is Judy. I'm from Germany originally, living the digital nomad lifestyle since 2 years now, traveling around and searching for a home base. And I think I found it here. And I came here with Sebastian I think 6 weeks, 7 weeks, 8 weeks ago. I don't know for sure, but things turned out really quick. We were searching for an apartment to rent. Now we're searching for an apartment to buy. So it seems like it's going to be a long-term relationship here. And I'm really looking forward because I like the place, I like the people. It ticks so many boxes for us to be our new home base, so that's great. Before in Germany, I had a job in a publishing house. It was also owned by us, like the employees. And so I am very curious, what is it about here?
Yep, slowly.
What is the vision? What are the ideas? And what's in for us? Yes. That's it.
Good, thank you.
I might just, like, actually add on that because the story obviously is kind of the same. I think I'm Sebastian. I'm also from Germany. I think what like for us, one of the interests would be that since we're planning to get a home base here, and co-working Bansko is one of the reasons that makes Bansko so interested for us. So we kind of like. Because this is like our main interest to have this place here or to keep this place alive, have it working out because it's like basically makes from the it brings the social aspect to the otherwise awesome location on Earth, I guess, and it like fills the gap that otherwise wouldn't be here. So it's just like social community, having interesting people around. Yeah. So, thank you.
Okay, I add on that too. I'm from Germany, so but have a little different story. I'm Andrea from Hamburg. My boyfriend and me, we are still searching for maybe a new place for a new home base. We visited Bansko this year the first time. We read about the co-working space and liked it. And this is the second visit to get an impression. Could I imagine to live here, to stay here longer? Could I? Do I want? So I love the landscape. I'm not sure yet if I love Bulgaria as the whole package. So, but the area is nice, and I really like the idea of doing business in a cooperation. So, and I would like to know what you are thinking about that, how your plans are.
I'm Connor from Ireland. I've been traveling for 7 years, but mostly working in hospitality. This year I moved towards working online. I haven't quite worked out how that's going to work yet. But yeah, I came to Bansko for 2 weeks in July, so I was looking for somewhere to move back to the UK. And quickly fell in love with the place, and obviously I came back. I've also bought an apartment here, so I'm going to be coming back a few times a year. Similar to what the guys said, I was looking for a home base in Europe, and that I could come back to that was my own. And given where I'm at with trying to change the trajectory of my work life, co-working Bansko has been a big part of that, and the community here has been really supportive and in many ways, and helped me kind of, well, for nothing else, come up with a business idea, which wouldn't have happened otherwise. And for the co-op, having worked in hospitality in various forms for the last 7 years, and having lived in somewhere like Chiang Mai on and off for 5 years and kind of been on the periphery of digital nomadism and co-working, it's something I've been really interested in and trying to get more involved in, and maybe try and take some of what I've learned working in hospitality in various different parts of the world, combining the two, and taking my experience and doing something a bit more wholesome than just getting people drunk for a living. So yeah, that's why I'm here, to see just to learn and to see if I can be involved somewhere.
Super. Thank you very much.
As far as I hear, everybody has been in Bansko for just a few weeks or a few months. This is how I felt 13 years ago. I came at the beginning of a winter season. I said, okay, let's give it a try, 2-3 months to see how it is. Now you can see 13 years later, I'm still here, quite settled, established, working well, knowing many people. And I'm sure that at least half of you, we will chat together in at least another 5-6 years ahead, because you like the place.
Okay, should we move to the online people? So we are turning off
There's
the mic.
one person came late.
Oh, yeah,
maybe you want to
introduce quickly?
My name is Tole.
Yes, you.
Are you watching at me?
Yeah, my eyesight can
sorry.
change a little bit.
Sorry. Well, I am Stole from Macedonia. I also have an apartment here in Greenleaf, and came here in May this year for the first time at your place. It's nice, and I would like to see how it develops.
Okay, super. Thank you. Matthias? I mean, we have our sessions later, so I would suggest we go to the online people now, starting with Christoph. So we will turn off the microphone in the room, and I will turn on the speakers, and then I hope we will be able to hear everyone online.
Good morning. Can you hear me all right?
Yep, we can hear you very nice, thank you.
Okay, so I'm Chris. I'm a software developer by trade originally. My work has shifted a bit over the last couple of years. I've been doing a lot of work with lean and agile software development, transforming organizations, helping people to collaborate better. And I'm kind of frustrated with my industry in general, both in its lack of ability to deliver quality, but also in the way it treats the people involved in it. And I'm passionate about building better places for people to work in tech. So I'm currently teaming up with a few colleagues of mine to form another cooperative, actually. We want to start a new consultancy that's going to provide services around agile software development and organizational things, leadership strategies and stuff like that. And I've been to Bansko once before because Matthias tracked me here and I met him in a previous co-working camp. And I'm kind of excited about it, but right now it's still kind of bound to Germany. So I'm considering to come over. So I'm really excited about having a chance to see this co-op form, hopefully, and get some experience with cooperatives.
Shall we move to Mike?
Sorry, your mic was off. I heard only the half of your talk, and with my name. Okay, I'm Michael. I'm from Germany, Cologne. I will arrive tonight in Bansko the first time. I will take the train at 12 o'clock and by plane in Sofia and with a rental car, and then maybe for dinner I'm in Bansko. I'm a digital analytics consultant. I'm in the business since 10 years doing work for clients, do many webinars. I'm at a university, at a teacher, and half of the year I'm traveling around. I was in Chiang Mai in a co-working space, in Cambodia, in Egypt, and now I want to come to Bansko. And more than 10 years ago, I wanted to establish an own co-working space, and attended a conference in Cologne about co-work spaces, but never did it. And now I'm trying to be a part of something bigger in Bansko. Your mic is off.
Oh, okay, can you hear me? Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hi. It's much more easy for me to tell by myself. You ask about Microsoft. I'm former Microsoft employee. Now I'm Microsoft partner, and we're working with Microsoft solutions on Russia a lot of. Right now I'm on Russia, and half year in Bulgaria, half year in Russia working. And so that's why we are really interested in digital analytics, because a lot of our Russian clients needed such as predictive analytics and something like this. So not right now, but in future, I would be really happy if you will send me your portfolio or something like this. Sorry for interrupt you. Okay. Guys, can you hear me? Because I can't hear.
Should I take over? Can you hear me? Okay. Hey, I am Patrick. I have my in Bansko. I've had it for a year or so. Just now I'm traveling I'm in Indonesia. Now I try to connect myself over the weekend to participate at most of the sessions. Yeah, I think Bansko, I mean, I spent there 5-6 months the last year, and it's been a great base for different stuff I'm doing, starting my own business, very inspiring, and I would love to see it grow and flourish and yeah, do it in whatever way.
We can't hear us.
No, now we can.
Okay, thank you very much for the introduction. It's a mess with our everyone.
Yeah, now we're good.
Excellent. Okay, so thank you everyone for your statements. I took some notes, and of course we will also publish the notes. Also, Javier is taking notes so that we can actually review later what we discussed today and who was in the room. So now I think it's time for Uwe and I to tell you why we want to do the co-op and what our expectations are. And maybe Uwe starts.
So I start. I have prepared actually something. Do I need to? Surely you might need to help me to.
No, just.
Lift it a little bit.
Would you want the video to be on you?
No. He needs
or
to share the screen. Needs the video in the room. You need to share the screen on Hangout. Yeah.
So how can I share the screen?
So there's a little button on the green button on the left.
How I came to Bansko.
So probably now they can hear me from my laptop.
Yeah.
And
you move away if you are on the microphone.
And so, yeah, hopefully that works out now. So Julie, I saw a thumbs up, so probably that works out. I tried to speak a little bit into this direction, so yeah, thanks for also for the remote people to join in. That's really great. When we started the space, we always had in mind that we wanted to start together with other people. So we always wanted that people are peers, not clients, not members, but being part of us to join in. That was always the idea. So, and now really, I think in the beginning, the people were anxious, you know, whether this works out or not, you know, like, is this the right place to be? Or, you know, like doing the first step is probably the most difficult one. And I understand. So, but nevertheless, Matthias and I found, you know, like there's so many momentum. So we wanted to go with it and try it out and give it a chance. And now we're doing this since 2 years, and it's really cool. We really enjoy it. And I must say, you know, for me, also being part of it, I mean, not only running it, but being part as a member, so to say, you know, like makes absolutely lots of fun, and it brings lots of pleasure and satisfaction. So this is really great being part of it. Yeah, so when it comes to the core, I thought, you know, like, are you buying a dead horse? You know, this is the question. So when you buy a horse, the first thing you do, you know, like you look at the teeth, right? So, and I wanted to go a little bit into that, you know, like how is co-working actually doing? So check the teeth from Matthias. I was having a pedicure, so you can also check my toes. No, but so I thought, you know, like for a co-working space, what is actually important? How do you distinguish whether a co-working space is a good thing or not a good thing, or what measures do you take? And I thought, you know, like I just put it into these 3 sections, and community is the first one, I think, which is important as a co-working space. So, and I would actually like to throw that question at you. Who thinks that the community is actually doing well and it's okay as a co-working space? And so the most people who are here, you know, like indicating yes, it's a good community. So I think we can actually tick that one. Financially, I think we are always open. We are always showing the numbers, you know, how well is the co-working space doing. And just about 3 months ago or so, we are non-VAT registered corporation. And in Bulgaria, for non-VAT registered corporations, it's like there's a ceiling, there's a cap. So it's 50K per year. And so about 3-4 months ago, we hit that ceiling.
Profit or turnaround story?
There is some feedback.
Can you turn it off?
And so we had to do something. But for us, a VAT registration doesn't make sense. So we incorporated another business. So, and that shows also that financially we're doing the right thing. We're going into the right direction. So from that point of view, I'd say there is growth. You can see something, and we are happy to share the numbers as well, that you have even more insight than you have had now. Anyways. And then the third section, I think, is operations and management. So, and I think also I want to throw this question back to you. You know, what is your feeling actually? How do you feel about the facility? How do you feel about like improvements? How do you feel like the feedback? You know, like lately we haven't had so many feedback sessions. We used to have more, but we still keep doing this and try to do this on a monthly basis at least. That we throw the ball to the community and say, hey, what are you not happy with? Where do you think is we need to do improvements and stuff? And I think we really go after it and try to get better. So, do you think operations and management is in good order? You feel yes, there is. These guys are doing something, or do you think no, that something is wrong?
Hand is yes, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Then
Good.
vote for both
So-
options.
yeah, left or right. So I think we can tick that as well. So you're not buying a dead horse. Okay. I think. So what is the current situation? So I think we have great facilities. I really like it. It's cozy. It's home. It's even more a home since we have this nice carpet here and doing yoga and jam sessions and stuff. So I think our facilities really opens up for the community to interact, and I love that. And also there is the possibility of having quiet workspace. Yeah, I think we have happy members and an amazing community. The co-working space has a good reputation and also good recognition. So not only I bumped into ex-members of co-working Bansko in Chiang Mai, for instance, just a couple of weeks ago, but also I met lots of people who said, like, oh, you are from co-working Bansko. Oh yes, this is a place I want to visit, and I think this is great. So I'm really happy with that. For the winter, we are now figuring out, like to have an additional location. There will be more people coming. This is, and it's growing. And also, I think proof of work is something you probably would also second. Like that it works out, people are coming, people are happy. And so we prove that co-working space, like in the beginning, when we talked to Puzzle or to Better House in Sofia, and then we told them, like, hey, we're opening a co-working space in Bansko, like, they had like very big eyes and they were like, are these people, do they, like, they thought, we are crazy or something, like, in Bansko. And they said, like, yeah, we thought about it, but then, I don't know. And now, they look at us with different eyes, I think. And this is, I think the proof of work. The challenges we have is like, the space needs lots of involvement from Matthias and my side. And I think, this is a challenge. So I would also like to do, for those who know me better, like I like to do a lot of things rather than focus on one thing. This was always something I had, it's probably a personal issue. And I think, like, since Matthias and I are only two people, it's like also a little bit limited. And I expect this to change the more people are on board, actually. So this is how I see it at the moment. If you have any questions in between, just let me know, okay? Just go for it. And I think what is important for a place like this is the vision, to have a great vision. I mean, we saw it right in the beginning that that this place has a potential. And and I think, the vision is something, this is the driver to get further, to move onwards and to put the pedal. And for me, I still have in mind there's lots of these buildings who went around Bansko, can see lots of these buildings not finished yet. And I think, like, for me, the vision is at some point to have such a big place where we can constantly maybe build it out, like from one layer to the next, as we are growing further and further. This is one of the visions I have. So we have a huge building and maybe start on one level, but then, build it out, like have the co-working space, like the penthouse section where we work from the top, like, and where we have the views of the mountain, where we get all our inspiration and motivation from. And then, like building apartments in the lower sections and have the people owning a stake also within the building and being part of the community. And also this could be a possibility for that we have apartment services and that we open up for more service orientation, that we not only are a co-working space, but that we are a living building, a living community which services itself. And I also think, like, the further we grow, and I think what I see generally is like, I see increasing exclusivity. And by exclusivity, I don't mean luxury. What I mean is like the services we offer. Like, for instance, if the co-op is a real big thing where we are 20 to 50 people, then it's easy to say, okay, we can invest in bigger things. We can also buy an apartment in Sofia, and we have maybe a car sharing, so we can go to Sofia back and forth with our own commuter car or something like this. And I think, like, the opportunities are immense the bigger we are, and I think it's size matters in this case. So I think the vision is very important. Having a vision for this space is very important, I think. So if there is something funny going on, please share with us. We all like to laugh.
If we're going to rock cows as well.
What? Rock cows?
Rock cows, yeah.
What?
Cow rocking in Bansko?
Cow rocking?
Yeah.
I've never heard of it.
Visions for cow rocking.
Cow rocking.
Yeah.
There's just a misspelling. I'm sorry. It's like the little children.
Oh, sorry.
Cow rocking.
But I would like that as well. Like, people like cow rocking.
Sorry.
Okay.
Don't get distracted.
Okay.
Headline. Just
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
No worries.
Maybe. Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay. Good. Anyways, let's go further. Probably you find more of the misspelling
I
stuff.
really like all the ideas, but if you come up with this kind of car, I'm out immediately.
Maybe she's.
But also, I think, like, this is a startup who built that car in Dubai. So I just found it recently, and I thought I want to put the supercar rather than this like this 8-seater boring commuter car, which we are probably rather after. Anyways, but good input. So why do I think a cooperative is a good idea? Actually, why? Yeah, and I found actually for me at least 13 good reasons why a cooperative is a great reason, especially for us here. Matthias and I think we created quite a momentum and there's something going on. But I also think that when we are more people, we create more momentum. We also, the more people who share the pie, the lower the risk. I think this is also an important one. We have already a strong community feeling, I think, but I think it will be even more when we own a stake. Distribution of power, I think, is also a good thing to do. So it's like Matthias and I, we could do anything we want, like with the space, it's ours. So it's like, I mean, we try to make it as attractive as possible. But I think, like, if you can also decide, and if you have a vote, like, so it's the distribution of power, I think, makes sense, especially in this case. Shared gains and wins. I think the more we are, the more sustainable we are as well. So it's like, I also believe that there will be more involvement and participation, the growth potential. I think redundant management is also a cool thing because this gives others the chance to travel more if they want. And yeah, I think this is also a good thing. Active democracy is one thing I really love. So sorry that was too fast. I think also as a whole, we have a greater impact. We can do more things. So as you have seen in the vision, like, and really, I think, the more people add, like the more knowledge we gather, and I think, like, we can come up with creative solutions and more solutions. And lobbying, I think, is also a big one. We have had the COBB, the co-working unconference in Bansko, Bulgaria last weekend, and there was a need clearly from the co-working spaces that we need to build an alliance, and so we see it on the bigger scale as well, not only on our space, but we see it also on the bigger scale that people want to have to work together, within this industry, and I think this is an important one. Okay, what are the challenges? Of course, like there's benefits, but probably also some drawbacks. And I personally see these three challenges. I think the decision-making process is one of the challenges we will face in the future when we are cooperative. I think the interaction speed as well. So the more people are involved, how can we deal with all this input? And it probably produces a higher overhead the more people are within.
What do you mean by overhead?
Like administrative work, like probably we need an app to liquid democracy or something like this. So this is, I think, is a higher overhead. Yeah. What have you thought when you read it the first time?
I was just, when I think of overhead, I'm thinking of like operational costs, which I guess could come in the form of like legal and administrative work. So that's the thing.
Yeah, maybe. That's right. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also I think, and that's important one, what are the values? And I think this is really cool because cooperative, like represents also values personally, I'm very attracted to. So especially self-help, solidarity, self-responsibility, and democracy and equity. I think, like this also values to my core. So this is something I think is really great. The cooperative brings with it. Yeah, and so there's different forms of cooperatives, and I think like the consumers or worker cooperative suits best, but the impact of this I cannot foresee. And I think tomorrow we have the lawyer here, or on Sunday. On Sunday we have the lawyer, and he can dig in deeper in that. So I don't know what actually impact this will have in the legal aspect. So, but I think those are the ones which suit to us the best, probably. I have this written out, and I can share this with you. Like what this means or what it stands for.
Can you give like a few more words to each of those, maybe?
I have them.
So like for me, just doesn't make any sense.
Sure, absolutely. So I have this hidden, but like this is the consumer's version. I leave it up to you to read it quickly. And can you read it also in the back? Is this okay? Yeah. I mean, it goes into finance and credit unions, but I think the first part is the more important one. So far, so good. I mean, I can share this. Okay.
Do you have the other one as well?
And there is the other one as well, and this is the workers' cooperative. So I like the management part, and also like the shares are owned by the workers, and I like this one. So represents probably the most. Okay, so good so far. Mm-hmm.
Could we clarify? Sorry, could we clarify what we would mean by workers or consumers in the context of co-working Bansko?
What was the question? I couldn't quite understand. Julie, can you tell me?
I'm trying to understand what would be the difference between a worker and a consumer, given the co-working Bansko example. for example, I could imagine that there are people who are traveling more and don't put as much work into the co-op itself.
Yes, that's right. And thank you very much for the question, Chris. I don't know the impact, actually, the legal impact of those two. But when I read this, then I found most appeal to those two, and I think they fit the best. But I think we need to wait really for the lawyer to explain, you know, like what is really behind it, and to understand the legal consequences of it. But anyways, I just wanted to share what I found attractive in it, and so these are my thoughts on it. But it's good that you also question this, and thank you very much for the input. I think it's valuable. I'm sorry that I cannot answer this question though. No. Okay, that was it. Thank you very much, and yeah, let's do this.
Okay, so from my side, the idea of the co-op kind of came up in the summer. So we do this like bi-monthly food for thought event with all the members, where we ask the community, how can we improve what we are doing at Co-working Bansko? But because of the nature of our community, very often there were totally different people at different sessions, right? Because 2 months is a long time. So initially it was a lot about infrastructure, like do we need more lights, do we need more chairs or anything? Can you put this on this camera, please? So there was a question, should we have more lights? Should we have more chairs? We also had some policy questions addressed at different times. We had some questions around and so on. But it was always different people. And for example, the last time in the summer, everyone was like, yeah, we should have a wiki with all the information about Bansko. There was some activities by the people that were here to create a pretty cool wiki. But now we have zero content because, yeah, the wiki, nobody was here then afterwards to actually work on the wiki. And so I think I kind of like this Food for Thought events, and we will have the next one in 2 weeks to also share updates with the members, what we discussed during the co-op weekend. But the problem is this is, first of all, it's like not really a stable group of people. So I think in another type of co-working environment, you have more members that are constantly here. Even our long-term members, like Patrick or like Ryan or don't know who else is around, they're not here all the time, which means it's like, yeah, it's a little bit transient in terms of decision making. And then there's also some decisions that are really difficult to make if you don't own a share in the company. So we had questions, for example, around mail service. Should this be like a paid add-on? How much should we charge for people to attend events? Should we allow people in the communities that are not co-workers? And so on. And these type of questions have a financial impact. And of course, if I'm a member in a co-working space, I would always say, yeah, I want everything for free and more the better, which I think is a valid position. But I think it would even be better if people make these decisions that also have a little bit of a financial stake. The other reason for the co-op for me is that Uwe and I, we started this about 2 years ago now. And as Uwe mentioned, there's some success that we had, but it's also a high personal investment of time and money. And of course, the question is like, if we are growing this now to the next level, are we willing to invest more money and more time into doing so? And we thought, yes, maybe. We also have a little bit of a disagreement, like how much to invest, and should we take money out, or should we buy a more expensive coffee machine and stuff like this. And I think we will have similar questions in the co-op, which are always the same, like how do we make decisions, what do we do with the money, and how much time do we put in. And there's, I mean, when you start a business together with someone, you always have to think about how would you exit the business. And we have a pretty stable contract that would allow one of us to buy the other out at any time. And this could be one solution if we want to do things differently, that we do them alone. But in the context of co-working, I think that's not the right decision, because first of all, it doesn't solve the problem at all. It means that one of us has to invest more time and money. And also, it's not a very collaborative solution to force someone out of the business. So the other opportunity was, okay, if we don't make it smaller to make decisions easier, maybe we should make it bigger. And I think doing a co-op for a co-working space makes a lot of sense. I mean, we talk so much about community. We have people that really invest way more then they would, if they were part of a business, so for example, the sound system here that we just used was provided by Jürgen, and I don't know if you would donate a sound system to WeWork, probably not, right? So this is the difference between a community and a business, and we always wanted a community. And I think for the next evolution of the community is also to be part of the business. And I think this would be really cool, and this would also allow us, if we find more people like me and Uwe that are crazy enough to invest time and money into this, to actually grow this to the next level, because it means we have more capacity. I mean, Uwe put a lot of ideas on the screen, and the only reason why we are not doing it is capacity, right? So Uwe has only 24 hours in his day, and he's not willing to spend all of that in co-working, which I think is really sad. Same with me. So a lot of these projects would also require management capacity to actually turn it into something that is running, or just overseeing the project. And of course, it requires more funding. And the business is generating cash flow now. I will show you later the real numbers. So it's there's things that we can do out of cash flow, but there's also things that are more long-term investments. And this is also kind of like the reason why we are here now and why we don't have like a lot of more profit. Is because we are constantly investing. So we bought a table upstairs. We now prepaid, I think, 3,000 level for pellets for the winter season. So there's like a constant investment into the co-working space. And I think this is when you grow a business, this is required, right? So you invest to grow the business. It's growing every month. So it seems to be working. But maybe to grow it like much faster, like in any other business, would require more resources. So this is, for me, how the co-op idea started. So it's on one hand, we want members to be more involved, and not everyone has to become part of the co-op to work in the co-working space. Obviously, there will still be, right now, people that are here, part of the community, that build the community together with us. But then I think there will be one additional level of members that are more involved in actually running the business. And the other thing, as I said, is we doing more projects. I also have a list of pet projects that I would like to do if I find more people that do it. So one thing, for example, I think for Bansko to get to the next level, obviously, is we need to grow locations. Still a little bit open. Should we grow this here or at some other place to one big location, or should we have like multiple smaller locations around Bansko where smaller communities form? There's like advantages and disadvantages for both. But if we would have more locations around Bansko, it would also mean somebody we need to kind of be part of the other location, because we can't hire like 6 more Svetlinas. So we would need like 5 more Uves and 3 more Matthiases if we do smaller locations. And I think this can also be very rewarding. I mean, one reason why people get engaged in the community or in the co-op is also because, obviously, once you run a certain aspect of the business, then you are also getting much more visible. So, for example, for us, we have decided we want to do something in the co-working industry. So we were organizing co-working unconferences. But it's the same for anyone else. So if you want to use Bansko as a platform, you can take advantage of all our marketing channels. You can take advantage of the infrastructure, and maybe then you run the Bulgarian Citizen Circle next year. Things like this to also raise your awareness in the community. Yeah, Andrea?
What is your experience with including the locals? Do you have any special plans to do this more? How are you doing this?
So this is a good question. So when we started, and I posted the business model slides, we thought like, who would actually be people that are part of our community here? And we thought, okay, there would be locals. And we thought there would be expats, like from the British expat community that was here before we were here. And there would even be tourists. However, it has turned out it's not so easy. So the British expat community is mostly staying among themselves. It's mostly retired people. And for them, this is not really a good fit. We had some events where people showed up from time to time, but really not very consistent. So this British expat community is not really a good fit. For tourists, we found out, yes, sometimes somebody stumbles in, but our learning is if you're here for skiing for 2 weeks, you work from your hotel. You're not working from the co-working space. And then, yes, and then the third group, the locals, would be other people here. And we have found out it's also a little bit difficult because there's not a lot of software developers or designers, a typical use of co-working spaces. However, there's a few. And for those that are here, our pricing is a little bit of a problem. So we have some subsidized and special deals. So we have a local guy here, Georgi. He's still in school. He organized a hackathon recently. So we gave him a free ticket. However, he's also not here a lot, so he's in school in Blagoevgrad, so he comes maybe once a month or so, unless he's organizing an event. We managed to convince Irina to join as a member, but also for her as a Bulgarian, it's a little bit harder, so we gave her a 50% discount on the membership. Just to be able to include more Bulgarians, we have a member from Gocedelchev, where we did a similar deal, and Sirma and Pepo. So we do some special deals for locals to get more Bulgarians into the space, but even with special deals, it's not a lot of Bulgarians that come. Does this answer?
I don't mean in that way being part of the community and working in-house here. I mean using their services, their products, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, we do this for accommodation, for example. We have a few accommodation partners that we recommend. We have a few people that we recommend for apartments. We have people that we recommend for transportation. We have a local handyman, of course, that's doing all kinds in the space. We have a
also
like
the tables are made here custom by local businesses.
So I mean, obviously.
Does this work well?
I mean, yeah.
There's not really another way to do it. I mean, you have to work with the locals in order to exist. So.
Yeah, I mean, you have to.
I would like to, but if there's no chance, it's much more difficult.
I know. I mean, you can work with the locals. We have a plumber that people call Mr. 50%, which means in half of the jobs he's actually doing a good job, that the other half is like a little bit shitty. And this is literally because he's a plumber. Yeah, I mean, we try to do things with locals, and we won an award now from the municipality as the biggest, most beautiful office garden in Bansko, stuff like this. So, and I think the locals appreciate what we do. Like, for example, for this weekend, we are using a family cafe for breakfast. We are going to restaurants. And of course, if you show up as a big group, it's always nice for business. But we still haven't really found a way how we can engage them more instead of just having them as suppliers. And I think it's nice because people appreciate if you bring business to Bansko, but also maybe there's a way to do even more than this with the local community. And kind of the ideas that I have on my mind for the co-op are a little bit related to this. So I think we have amazing people that come here working on nomad business models that can work location independent. And even though we have some highly qualified people, a lot of these business models are super easy, right? So it's easily possible to become a social media manager or to do some drop shipping stuff or things like this. If you get a training for a limited amount of time, I mean, after 2 or 3 months, you're probably proficient in this business model, and then you can do the same thing. So you will not earn a shitload of money, but you will definitely earn enough that you can travel around, and you will earn way more than you would earn here in a local hotel. And I think for me, the co-op, so the project that I would like to work on, if somebody else is taking over more of the co-working operations, is I would like to have a nomad incubator where we invite people, solo entrepreneurs that are kind of ignored by traditional startup incubators because it's not a team. Solo entrepreneurs that want to become nomadic, invite them to Bansko, fund their stay here, provide a little bit of money to get the business started, provides them with training and consulting from people in the co-op that have skills, and get an equity stake in the nomad business. I think this could be really interesting because there's a lot of people that don't really know how to get started and that could benefit from the experience and the capital. And a related project would be what I call the Nomad Academy, where we would invite speakers here for 1 month and train people in specific nomad business models like social media management or drop shipping, or other simple models like doing Amazon ebooks or whatever, and really do this more like as a training academy. But both of these projects for me, it's more of a, would be a nice to have. I think it's the next step to not only grow the community in Bansko, but actually make more people location independent, enable them to be successful. But this is something that would require also more people to be engaged in it. There's also other ideas. So in Thailand, there's a lot of foreigners that don't have a visa and can't stay in Thailand, so they do all kind of visa runs. Or there are companies that provide visa services, umbrella services for freelancers, that the freelancer gets a work visa from a company and officially works for that company, and all the invoices are sent through the company. There's a guy who was actually here when we started who talked about this. Unfortunately, his Thai wife doesn't allow him to move to Bulgaria. So she wants to stay in Thailand. But I think this would also be really attractive for Bansko because we have more and more Americans coming here. And they always have to leave after 90 days, which on the one hand is great because it frees up some space for new people. But on the other hand, it's kind of sad. So I think if we would be able to provide a visa solution like this, it could be interesting for people. And this is also a really good business model. There's a guy who is doing it in Thailand, has now about 150 freelancers in Chiang Mai that he's providing these visa services for. And he takes a small cut, but if you multiply a small cut by 150, it's quite a good chunk of money.
And don't forget Brexit in March.
And don't forget Brexit, so we will have even more British people. But I think the British people will be able to still stay and come.
We'll see.
But I mean, especially for Americans, I think this is a thing, and it gives you access to the European healthcare system as well because you would be an employee here. So I think there's many ideas like this that we could tackle together. So for me, it's really the idea of the co-op is mostly how do we grow Bansko into the next level. Not only having a co-working space, because if you just want to have a co-working space, we would just keep it like it is. Maybe raise the prices to prevent more people from coming. Our life would be great. We would still have the same people here. Everyone would finally know the rules for all the games, so we don't have new gamers that have no idea what games we play. So, but I don't think this is the impact that we want. So for me, the impact is really we need to grow Bansko bigger. When we become bigger, it can't be only 2 people. I mean, Uwe and I, we started co-working Bansko more as a kind of like a private side project, and we said, okay, co-working Bansko is mostly for the benefit of Matthias and Uwe. But now when we are a bigger group, I think it's too selfish to just have this, okay, this is that Matthias gets some people to play board games with. This is just not enough for the next level.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask. Was that your initial goal, like the reason why you started this, or what is the getting rich and famous, or what was your initial goal, or your
okay, so getting rich doesn't work by co-working space.
That's why I'm
no, I mean, for me, I started it mostly, so I was always excited about co-working. So I started being a member in a co-working space about 7 years ago or so in Salzburg, after I came out of a startup incubator and was looking for an office space, and I totally loved this collaborative environment. It was a little bit different than here because most people in a bigger cities that use a co-working space, they're all about business. So there were a lot of, and they're all in the same ecosystem. So there were a lot of introductions. I got customers, I got employees from the co-working space, from other people. It was really cool. And I loved it. So I started doing a co-working retreat type of thing. Where I thought, okay, now in Salzburg it's gonna rain, so let's go somewhere where it doesn't rain for 6 weeks. And what was interesting is that people like you showed up, the nomads. I wasn't a nomad at that time. I mean, I always traveled a lot, but I didn't really consider myself nomadic. So I organized this co-working retreat for 6 weeks in Turkey, and I thought that basically the same people like I would show up, the startup people that work in bigger city co-working spaces. But the first 2 people that came, they came with a trolley, and they said, hey, Matthias, this is all we have, so we travel around constantly. And all our belongings are in here, and we have a great life. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. And then more and more of these people showed up. And after this first co-working retreat, I said, okay, maybe I could be nomadic too, because it's like there's really no good reason for me to be in Salzburg all the time. If I can be away for 6 weeks, maybe I can be away for longer. And kind of this started my nomad journey. And after a while, I said, okay, if I'm nomadic and never travel so much, why do I actually have an expensive apartment in an expensive office in Salzburg that I only use like 1 week a month? And for me, it became like I came always back to Salzburg to get my laundry laundered and to do the accounting, so all the things that I really don't like. And I said, okay, I need another base that is more cost effective. And we talked with Jürgen, I knew Jürgen before, he told me about Bulgaria. Then Uwe and I, we were on a mountain retreat type of thing where we talked about this, and we decided, okay, let's check this out and see what's going on here. And for me, and I think this is also the reason why co-working Bansko works so great for a lot of people, is because we really came here for looking for a home base for ourselves. But it was clear that if we come here, and I love Uwe, but I don't want to spend all my time with him. So we need a few other people. And this comes back to the locals. So yes, there's some cool local people here, but most of the Bulgarian people, they're leaving Bansko. Right? They're going to the bigger cities where they have bigger opportunities. So there's not a lot of people here. I still don't speak Bulgarian, even though when I first came, I thought it's ridiculous that there's UK people living here for 10 years still don't speak Bulgarian. I'm my 2nd year now, so I hope I have a future in Bulgarian. But it's like clearly that if you want like-minded people, you don't find them in Bansko. You need to get them to Bansko. And we wanted a co-working space to also have like an office environment where it's productive and where we're around other people. And this is why we started. But And I think now we are the size that we initially imagined. So we even have it in the business plan that we want to be like 40 to 50 people. And that's it. Because we know when you grow bigger, it becomes different. It was never meant to be a business where we become rich and famous, because then we would have done it in London or in New York, where there's a constraint on office space and where you have a lot of teams that want to rent team offices, and renting team offices in co-working space is an amazing business if you have a large enough space. But in Bansko, it will never be like this. So even if we grow bigger, I don't think it will ever feed me or Uwe. I mean, maybe Uwe, he needs less food, but Matthias will not be fed from the co-working space. It's impossible. So we started this to have other people around us. And now the question is like, can we grow it to the next level without losing this familiar type of environment? And I think the only way to do this is to break it into smaller community. We can still use the co-working Bansko umbrella to promote Bansko as a destination. We can still do bigger events together, but similar to having a quiet space and a social space, we need to have more spaces where communities can form, and also where the people in the community have more impact. So, right, I mean, here we are running it how Uwe and I like it, but there's also other ways how you can run a shared office environment in a co-working space. There's also other interest groups. Now that we are bigger, maybe we start specializing into more of a tech community in one space. So there were people asking, okay, is there enough techies for me? And then there's other people that are asking, okay, are there too many techies? Right? But I think this would be cool to have like a tech space where we have developers, and they also, if you're with the same people, you benefit more for your own business. You can make more connections, but also to still have like a big inclusive community where we can all come together and do events together and share skills together. So yeah, this is basically my motivation. We need to figure out together how to grow Bansko to the next level. I had an interesting conversation yesterday in the Hot Springs. If anyone else has done this, and if nobody else has done this, is this really a good idea? But for me, this is not the yardstick that will determine if you become a co-op. I think we are on the forefront of what's happening in the co-working industry for a lot of reasons. I mean, first of all, we hang out at a lot of conferences. We do a lot of conferences. We visited a lot of co-working spaces. And to me, this cooperative business model is the future of co-working. So in the future, there will be two types of co-working spaces. There will be commercial co-working spaces, big chains like WeWork and Selina and Regus and all those, and they will provide a great shared office environment for people, and they will probably even do networking and community. But it's not like the same thing in an independent space. And I think for the independent spaces, the future is you need to work together to grow together.
I mean, there are examples. There is some cooperative spaces, but they are clearly it's only a few.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
What if by the end of the weekend we don't get to a point where we find a suitable solution for most of the people? What will you do in 3 months, either or both of you, if it's still only two of you on board and overloaded with work and getting a little bit sick of doing all the administrative and the background work for co-working?
I mean,
what's your plan B?
I mean, I don't know if we will have an agreement at the end of this weekend to actually start the co-op. So we are a little bit less people than I expected. There were way more people, as always, in the beginning that said, yeah, this is so great, and I will be part of it. And a lot of this has trickled off. So it's very well a possibility that at the end of the weekend, we are saying it's too early, or it's too expensive, or there's too much commitment if the group is not big enough for each individual in the group. However, as I said, the co-working Bansko now works great. So if you don't do anything, the worst outcome is it will be like this for the foreseeable future. But it will probably mean that some of these growth and expansion projects are not going to happen.
Because it's obvious that Bansko needs a co-working, but the thing is, who's going to run it?
No, the thing is, if I'm allowed to answer partly your question,
of course.
I think, like the plan B, I think, like we already got sick and tired of operating the space as such. And that's why we have operations manager. That's why we get somebody who does the work we don't like to do, right?
Yeah.
So, and I think this is this we can do. Otherwise, if we would do the accounting and stuff, this would never work out. First of all, like we are far too messy with all the invoices and stuff like this. So we need to have help, right? And the question is, how much do we actually outsource and how much do we do ourselves? And as Matthias said, like we started the space exactly for that reason, to have amazing people around us, like to be part of this gang, so to say, right? And but we never wanted to do and do actually the operations of the space. So, but being part of this, like will not change as long we are here. We built our base here. We love to be here. I love the weather. I love the climate here. It's close to Greece. I can go sailing and stuff like this. And this is something I really admire. I admire also the Pyrenees Mountains and whatever is here in Bansko. I also think, like for me, I also need a change from time to time. And this opens up more the possibility, like the more we are for us to draw a little bit back from, since we both mentioned this, that it is a high involvement, like I could easily work 16 hours for the co-working space solely, like this is possible, right? And in the beginning, it was in order to bring it to the level you can see now, like was a lot of work. We were willing to do that, and we are still willing to do more. But I think like this sharing more is helping us also to draw a little bit back. So I don't know what you exactly mean by Plan B, but
I think he means like if the co-op doesn't happen this weekend, what happens?
Well,
things just continue as they are, right?
Exactly.
Until there's
more. Yeah. I mean, we are always willing to take partners on board. Like that's not the question, right? So we always say, like if somebody's interested, we are willing to share all the data we have, and if you want to become a partner, like you're most welcome. But I think like Matthias and I, we put quite a stake in, right? I mean, we are self-funded, right? So we don't have VC money or we never got any funding. So, but we made it happen, like because we are convinced that this is the right thing to do. And we love it.
Are you willing to put more money into it, or you're willing to have it stable and sustained as it is at the moment?
I mean, so far we always contributed privately, like we have like also cash accounting, like things we cannot pay where we don't get the invoice and stuff, So
it's normal.
And this is what we are always were willing to do, like freely. And but now also it seems that like financially we got into we grew also that this needs to be less, less and less, and that is great. But my vision is not like climbing the ladder slowly. My vision is like really making an impact. I mean, we do make an impact, but I want more. I want to have car sharing. I want to have a bigger space. I want to have, I think...
Which involves a lot of additional investment from everybody that is willing to get on board.
Yeah, but it's not only the money, right? So, I mean, we have some people, even in the room, that I think would be able to open a bigger co-working space in Bansko as a second location, manage it, promote it, do the community management. But this would mean that we would actually have to invest into the second location and pay for someone to run it. And as I already said, co-working Bansko is not a good financial investment. We should rather do this in London instead of in Bansko. So the investment needs to make sense. And for us, so far, the investment was also to create a community that we enjoy. So the reason why we put so much money and so much time into it is because we wanted to create exactly this community. Creating another location in Bansko doesn't help me because I can only work in one location. But if there's other people that say, okay, this is really cool that we can work here, but if there would be a second location, I would take more and more of like a management role in this location. I could shape it more to my requirements. I think then it would be amazing because we could use the umbrella that we created with Co-working Bansko to promote another location, to share the same values, to have the members there and so on. So I think this makes sense to bring in more people as partners and as managers. We don't want to hire more staff.
I have a question just because you mentioned it, unless this is already answered. But as you mentioned, the idea of renting out to teams, and within a co-working space, is that something you've considered? And providing off-siting and similar?
Yeah, I mean, it comes back to the same question. I think it's a good business. It's just that I'm not in this for this business, so it's not my business. But if somebody says, "Yeah, I really want to focus on team retreats," and I think Artyom posted something similar that he wants to do trainings and more retreats, yeah, then it's a totally different story. If you have someone who's saying, "Okay, I want to promote and do team retreats, we will find a team retreat location for it." Yes, I'm all for it, and I'm happy to support it in as part of the core. But I personally don't want to do this. And I think this is true with a lot of the other things that we mentioned so far as well. And maybe there are more ideas, like how can somebody benefit from actually bringing something to the co-op as a business or as a project or whatever, and then use the co-op, because obviously we have accounting, we have somebody who's doing operations, we have an email newsletter, we have a big channel on Facebook. So, and then use this to actually grow this other thing together. I think this is really the core of the co-op in doing things together.
I think also the follower base is bigger. You know, like if you have a great idea and if other people like this, you have other people on board helping you to run the show. You know, and I think this is what is the value to join a co-working space? Why do you do this? What is the value for it? And I think this is the question we should address, you know. And I think it's this added value which is probably not even outspoken yet, you know. And the more we are, you know, like the easier it becomes, the more services, the more exclusivity we can create. I think, yeah, and that's why I think growing the basis is the right thing to go. Yeah.
Okay, what are the questions you always wanted to ask about co-working Bansko?
You're gonna get into the financial stuff later, yeah?
I can get into financial stuff right now. If you have a special question, I will answer.
Roughly, what are the monthly expenses and the monthly income?
Okay, so
and compared to last month, maybe.
Okay, so we have two different things that.
You want to throw it on the screen, or?
Yes, I first need to figure out where it is.
Your mic open, Julie, or no?
I'm switching off our mic and I'm transferring it to the tools.
Okay, and then there's like a ton of other stuff. So for example, as I already mentioned, like buying new chairs, buying new tables. So we bought more chairs here recently, I think 8 or so, to prepare for the winter, that we have better chairs. Each chair is about €100. There's like a ton of like these little things that we're buying. And all this is like included in the 6,300 left monthly average. There's some months where it's a little bit more, there's some months where it's a little bit less. And then of course we have income. And as Uwe mentioned, we have started like a second company. So we'll just show from September, which is I think when we started to actually have invoices in here.
So we hit half the ceiling already, so within 3 months, which is...
So from September to now, which is September, October, and a few days of November, we have like 22,000 net income, which means that we are making currently about 2,000 to 3,000 net profit per month. However, it's not totally profit, because then the question is like, how much investment would you have to take out? But we are cash flow positive. And this happened in about, I don't know, July or August. So in the summer, when we had enough people in the summer, we hit like this break even, and we are now over it. And there's some money left over each month, which means there's a little bit cash flow to invest out of the business if we want to do it. Or there's also enough cash flow if we say, okay, we now want to run it as a co-op. And of course, then the next question is, if we run it as a co-op, will Matthias and Uwe provide the same amount of input that they currently do in work here for free? And the answer to this is probably no. So there's enough cash to actually hire or outsource tasks that will no longer be provided for free to staff if we want to hire more staff. But it's not enough cash flow to say, okay, now we hire like high-level staff that is growing and expanding the business and like they're now manager level. We still need people that, a little bit more junior, because we need a direction on what they do.
How are these 22,000 lefts distributed in terms of types of income? Monthly membership, events, weekly memberships?
So it's basically mostly monthly memberships. So I mean, we have monthly memberships. There are some people that take longer packages, and I can go into this, but yeah, I mean, I would say it's probably 80% normal monthly memberships. Then it's probably the remaining 20% is a longer term membership that is discounted. For the events that we do, including this event, we normally don't take a profit. So here, I think we charge like €75 for everyone who is in the room, and we have about €65 cost for this event, because we go out for food and so on. Similar like the last weekend, the Coop the co-working Bansko conference was about €100 with accommodation, and then we pay like €20 for accommodation, and also have a lot of food, so we make like about €10 per event. The reason why we do these events is not to make money. The reason why we do the events is to get people to Bansko, and it works actually pretty nicely. So we had a freelancer weekend in April where we invited freelancers, so we got some coverage out of it. We were just like in a big Bulgarian newspaper that I can't pronounce, with something about it, and we have people then coming back. So the idea is we give people a reason to come to Bansko, and then they see it, they like it, they tell their friends, and they come back. So I see the events more as like a marketing vehicle than as a profit-generating venture. However, this could be different. So if we decide we want to do more like trainings and invite people for a training, then it's different, because they're used to pay for a certain amount, then maybe companies pay for it, and then you can also make a profit with retreats and things like this.
And this is where my question comes from. What other things can be done through the co-working in order to lift the profit, not only membership?
Yeah, but it's not only lifting the profit. The problem is this, it's also creating more effort. And then first we need somebody who is doing it.
Exactly.
And I think then we can consider, okay, if somebody is doing it now, and we had some events in the past where other people were organizing things like vacations. We started here with Go Wander. We had the Soulmate weekend where a partner was organizing an event. And those people we charge, and they organize everything, but they can then also make a profit in whatever they charge to their participants. And I think this is also great, because it doesn't create a lot of additional effort on our side. But if we organize something where we want to charge more money, it also means we need to provide way more services.
The more you can offer to the public, the better you are recognized.
So, but I also think, important to understand is that the community we have right now, everybody's chipping in. You know, like this is very common here. So if you ask anybody here, ask anybody here, he or she will tell you, you know, like, okay, you need help with your website or something like this. People will help you. This is like the community is willing to spend to share something for free. This is what happens here. Like we have Skillshare and other workshops where people just freely share their stuff, which they otherwise charge people to participate. So, and I think, you know, like this is the community, and I think this is the common sense here, where everybody contributes in a way. And I think, you know, like if we own a stake, if we are not only the members, you know, in the beginning we said, you know, like, yeah, but become a peer, don't be a member, you know, like help us to build the space. People say, no, take my money, I want to do my own stuff, you know. And but now, you know, we can see that that this is very common, that people throw an event or help each other, and this is very important to understand. This will also happen in the future. This is not because going into cooperative and everybody will take care about his own stuff and rather ignore the other. No. I think, you know, like if you have an idea to grow the business, I think you will have lots of followers. I think, you know, like the people will help you to make this happen because it increases the share of everybody. And I think this is important to understand. We are not in a concurrent situation, you know.
Yeah.
We are we're sitting in one boat, you know. And the idea is that everybody rows into the same direction, right?
That's why I'm asking all these questions to understand
no, absolutely,
where it comes from and what can everybody benefit from it if it becomes such a place.
I mean, maybe to phrase it a little bit different, I think the reason why a lot of our members are contributing here way more than if they would be a customer by sharing skills that they would normally charge other people for is because they also see that Uwe and we don't charge a big premium and make you a customer and then make a profit over you. And I think it's a special environment, but if we would now do retreats and we charge people for profit, then I don't think they would clean our coffee machine or buy a slackline. They would say, no, I'm a customer here, so I have a certain expectation of what service I expect for this type of payment. And it takes this like community aspect away from it. And I think there's a room for this. I mean, there's a lot of retreats. There's a lot of trainings. There's a lot of commercial co-working spaces. We will even have a group here in March from Remote Year that is charging, I think, about $2,000 for the month in Bansko. And the people there, we will see how they are, but I think they expect a little bit of a different thing than what they would get here in Bansko. I mean, for example, we're telling Svetlina, and we told Irina and Elena before, that she's not a concierge for our members. So our members need to figure stuff out on their own. If you come with a Remote Year, you have a concierge, and they will figure out stuff for you. And it's a different environment.
Yeah, I agree, because I think that like when a space, the thing that I think you have to think about when it's you know, the community environment we have here versus trying to, I mean, increasing profit is always good. Not always good, but it's good, you know, in general. But I think if there's a shift in mentality to try to focus on a profit center at the sacrifice of the environment that's built already, it's something to be really mindful of. Because the split management focus, people feel that in a community, and so it's super important. I think there's a lot of really interesting ways to increase the profit with events, but also I think just additional services to existing members, like soft landing packages, things like this, like we see in other digital nomad spaces. So,
Building is hard also co-working Bansko. So this onboarding process, things, all kind of things.
Yeah, but it's also something that it's not a real service. I mean, we want to make it easy for people to do it, right? So we have a document, we have some contacts, we refer people, but we don't have somebody here then calling all the apartments and doing it. And maybe Uwe wants to share a little bit of his experiences from the summer when we thought, okay, maybe we do more of a package.
No, but I think I'm glad for this question, actually, that this question was raised, you know, like we can see like co-working Bansko as a profit-making machine. But I think, you know, like probably we don't want to do that. But that doesn't mean we cannot do profitable things.
Yeah.
But it's probably not happening in co-working space. But it's like the things you do, or like more people will need our services. So you will have the chance to offer a service to these people. And they might be willing to pay for your service like a premium price. And this is the thing. So like the co-working spaces itself is a platform. This is a platform where we like to meet, where we like to share, where we play games, where we have jam sessions, where we spend our time together, but where we earn money. As you know, like co-working Bansko is a passion project of Matthias and me, right? So it's not, we didn't expect, of course we want to have our investment back, you know, like, and the cooperative, if for instance, is one of the ways how we can level that out. But it's not meant to be, co-working Bansko is not meant to be as a revenue generator where we have lots of, or profit generator where we have lots of profit. But I think the additional services or the additional needs which are created or can be created through this platform is where we can put the price tag, really.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is important to understand, you know, like.
I think it's really like the people who comes here in Bansko from the word of mouth and all the, it's because of the community and because they want to share, they want to teach, they want to learn. And so through the membership, they are not customer here, they are member. Through the membership, they are part of this community. And as you say, or you, I don't know, the way they see the management works makes them even more involved. And I think the Coop project is giving to members or non-members an opportunity to reach another step, which is not only sharing, learning, teaching, etc. in the community of members, but co-creating this big thing that you have started, that you have founded, and well done, and achieving all these ideas that you have done in the previous hour, and all the ideas that the Coop takers or members can add to this. So it's totally a continuous, I think, like a two-level degree of implication in the project.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Nobody would invest in cooperation that they would expect to make as much money as possible.
No,
I would be happy not losing something, but that's fine. This is investing in a good idea, in co-creating something, in being in a cool community environment. People know that. Nobody's expecting high profit. Oh, I don't think so.
I think, you know, managing expectations is a very important point, you know, like, and also I think that is a great input, and it's a great input to have. And I think, you know, I want to throw actually the ball back at you, you know, like, why do you think it's a great idea to be part of it? And I want you to have the chance, you know, to speak up and say, you know, like, I think, you know, like, this creates more value for me because, or whatever. And I think, you know, this is the chance for you to say, you know, like, yeah, I see this as a benefit, as you said.
Okay. Any other questions regarding how we do things?
Who want to take part in this discussion we have there? I have to join the live stream, or do we have some information out of what others
okay.
may be asking?
So, probably, Julie, can you actually bring this in somehow? Can you be the speaker for those who are actually bringing this discussion up?
We also bring the outsiders here to speak.
Oh, that's very good. Thank you very much, Philip.
Just wanted to know what they're actually asking.
Clement has joined also. We missed the beginning.
Yeah, if somebody just take care of some questions, pick them up, and then put them later on.
Yes, yeah, I guess you guys can ask them if there's any questions.
Okay, so
Artyom.
Artyom is asking, do we have to declare common visions, economic, social, and cultural needs? And the answer to this is yes, but not now. So we have a session about the vision and the values and what we want to do tomorrow. So I think this session is really to ask questions and to better understand like the past of co-working Bansko before we start talking about the future. So anyone has any questions about things, how we are doing them or why we are doing them?
Financially, it's also kind of another thing.
No, financially is now.
Well, it's just the overhead because you have this average. Okay, you know about it, but what is just the overhead like rent, operation manager, and stuff like this? So we just bring the variable costs out.
I just tried to find whether there are questions.
Well, I think we have something like this somewhere.
There should be maybe 3 to 4. Isn't 4? Let's see it. Come on. It's also true as well. I said.
Unmute yourself. Okay, Matthias unmuted himself and he's sharing his screen. This is not totally up to date, but Elena prepared this a while ago for us to see what we actually spend stuff on. So we have a bunch of different internet things going on. We have some rent going on. We have some electricity costs going on. We have heating costs. The heating cost is averaged for the winter period. So in the winter, it's actually 250 and not 125. We have some cost for the accountant, invoicing software. We have the cleaning ladies that I mentioned. We have a maintenance guy who's coming about once a week, George. And you probably have seen Irina's dad, Lubo, in the morning, who's cleaning up stuff. We have some cost for the coffee and the water and the milk and the stuff that we buy. We have some cost for the volunteer apartment. Even though there's actually currently no rent because I'm providing it rent-free or like in exchange for some other fees, but this is a little bit subsidized. Then we have an office manager, and I think we increased this for Svetlina a little bit because she's using more time than Elena. We have some taxes for health insurance and so on, and this also includes, I think, 125 left per month for Uwe and me for health insurance, which is mandatory. For someone who is owning a business here. And then on average, we spend about 1,000 or so for furniture and advertising. So the number we came up here was like 5,200 something. But as you have seen from the other sheet, the actual number is closer to 6,000. And the reason is because we were buying more stuff than we estimated.
So when I saw the rent, it's like 5 something and 3 something?
Yeah.
Okay.
This unplanned furniture, etc., is not kind of over.
Like
this 1,000, that's kind of saying, okay.
That's in LEV, yeah?
That's in LEV, yes. Yeah. But remember, the actual number is about 1,000 LEV higher than this number. When you look at the actual averages that we spend, it's about 6,000.
But there is maybe 1,000, 1,500 more variable costs, but like not this kind of overhead.
I mean, it's not really variable costs, but it's stuff like, I don't know what we did recently. For example, we installed a gutter on the quiet space because now winter is coming and otherwise it's really all partial. And stuff like this is like one-off cost, but it's more of an investment into the space. Or when we buy for 800 euros chairs, then obviously it's like 1,600 left just to buy chairs. Yeah. And this happens more frequently than you would imagine. I mean, there's basically every single month there's something that is unplanned. But we know something is going to happen because we are growing, we have to do things, like we bought the new signage, for example, on the outside, and all this is additional cost. So on average, expect about 6,000.
I mean, what we are not doing currently, and I think, Matthias and I, we lack in this perspective a little bit, is not that we have that we put out a budget and we plan things really out. This is what we are not doing. We try to keep the costs on as low as possible. But for instance, I also raised the question, what is with the coffee maker? What coffee do you like? What do you prefer? And stuff like this. So this is also influencing the cost, And I think, this are exactly the things, if we are on a bigger scale, we can handle this better in a way. For now, buying a coffee maker for 1,500 euros is something I'm not willing to do, to be honest, because for our small space, this is a hell of an investment, And reckon this in memberships, which we need to sell, so to say, in order to get this investment back, So I think, the dripping coffee is a great coffee to drink if somebody wants to drink coffee, and maybe the ones who like to drink espresso or cappuccino, as I like, for instance, I would be willing to pay something for this premium, and then we can also invest into that. For instance, this is on a small scale, but the things add up, and as I said, what we're not doing currently is doing this professional budgeting where we say, okay, we have such and such an amount. We rather spend from our guts and shoot a little bit out of the hips, which is not the best way of doing it. I agree, but this is how it has developed.
Let's state it that. Yeah, also coffee machine would be kind of cool idea or just a case study. How if we are just a co-op, how we would decide to getting which kind of coffee machine.
Absolutely,
it's really
It's a nice idea doing some sort of case study, just trying the process of this finding for Sunday or something.
If we can't
decide but I mean, that's a very easy decision, right? So I think everyone wants great coffee, right? So everyone wants great coffee, but the impact is do we take now 1,500 euro from the bank account and buy this because we all want great coffee and because I think it's important to have great coffee. So the reason why this coffee machine is no longer working so great for us is because there's too many people, there's too much maintenance and cleaning, which means Svetlina's time is blocked. So yes, I think we need a coffee machine, but now it's a difference if I vote as a member and I say, okay, yes, I want the best coffee. It should have quick and milk, or we just have the super cheap drip coffee, and we have a drip coffee machine upstairs, the same that we have in the quiet space. So putting that there is super easy, but people still want the espresso. And then we get into the discussion, do we really want to force members to pay for the espresso? And then maybe there's like a piggy bank where people put money in, but then people don't put money in because this is in all the other co-working spaces. We're not the first people that have discovered coffee. So then people don't put enough money in, and there's money missing. Then you make a list, or you have even an electronic system where you can do it. So this is making it all more difficult, which is why initially we said, okay, we have free coffee and tea, so we don't have to worry about it. Right. But from the business side, you see it's significant. It's 350 left just for coffee and tea each month, just in supplies. And now buying another coffee machine, if you're part of the co-op and you say, okay, this means that we are not getting a dividend this year, but we will reinvest the 1,500 euros that we make profit this year. We reinvest it into a coffee machine.
I would be happy to do that. But at the same time, it's a stupid example, but it's a very good example of fucking coffee machine, because this is also something I was always thinking about when you mentioned a second space, and then you create a lot of overhead. So if you have one coffee machine for 1,500 that exists in one space, it makes sense. If you have two spaces or 2.5 or something,
no, but
like we have already, then you would need two coffee machines, and then it's already 3,000 euros, and then it gets more difficult.
But the good news is that if we replace this coffee machine, then we can put the other one in the space where we don't have so many people, which means there's less maintenance.
So you create a second, a second great space. Just with the coffee machine.
No, the quality of the coffee is the same, right? You would still have your espresso. It's a good coffee machine. The only problem is this machine. It's not meant for so many people, and this creates.
Are we using the coffee machine as an example? Or we are talking on the coffee machine?
I mean, I think it's a good example because it also shows that sometimes these very simple decisions, there's not just one aspect of it. There's a whole bunch of things that contribute to it being a problem. And ultimately, it's a financial decision. Should we do this, or should we hire more people to clean the coffee machine, or should we downgrade to just a drip coffee machine where we don't have maintenance, or should we force people to pay for coffee?
The thing is that most of the freelancers in general, I'm not a freelancer myself, but I've seen that already, is that they want to be independent, which means that they want to have the opportunity to take decisions by themselves without being influenced from other people. So having a co-op means that, let's say you have, for example, 10 people on a decision-making process or 20 people on a decision-making process. And in order to have a decision made, you need at least 51% of these going ahead. And still, in 20 people, if you have 12 willing to do something, the other 8 people won't be satisfied, but they will have to go for it.
I kind of disagree with what you said. Yes, they are freelancers. Yes, they want to make their own decision as being the master,
independent,
being the master of their time.
Exactly.
But they also, and this is our experience, they also want to be part into the decision making of the co-working space. So when we ask them, they like to come up with ideas, and they like to be part of. They want to take part also into the decision making process. This is what our experience shows. So it's not like they want to be independent and they don't want to have to do with anything. No. It's quite the opposite.
I think he's saying something different there. He's saying that then the other half of people who didn't vote for something have to put up with the decision, even though I disagree with this in the sense that now it's the TSNUV sort of making all decisions, and so at least if there's 20 people and 10 people I disagree with, say yes, or 11 people, then I get to be like, well, hey, this, I'm a part of a community, and this is the trade-off.
No, I think you didn't get me. I think something else. Let's say that there are 10 of us here having a co-op together, and we need to spend, for example, 1,000 lefs on a coffee machine. So each of us has to spend 100 lefs each on that coffee machine.
No, not necessarily. No. It's there is a certain profit made, right? So I mean, the space generates something, right?
Exactly.
And this is paid by the, we need to make intelligent decisions, right? Of course, we cannot buy every artistic drawing from the art gallery and hang it here just because one person will be happy with that.
All the artwork belongs to Matthias.
But there is the members spend a membership fee, and this money enables us to do something either for the community or to take out dividends for the ones who are the shareholders.
Exactly, and this is where I'm coming from. Are we are most of us going to want to spend more for the better of the community, or they will want to get some kind of dividend from what they have already invested? It might be money, it might be time, it might be knowledge.
Fair enough, yeah. And that's a good question. That's a great question.
Could we not, we would be able to deal with that before everybody signs up to some degree, I would think, because we're trying to all share the same vision. So make it have that in there somewhere, that decisions will be made where you're going to have to potentially sacrifice a dividend for having really nice coffee, and that you're aware of that if 12 people out of 20 vote for coffee over dividends, you accept it, or you don't join the co-op to begin with. If you accept democracy, that's what you're signing up for. If you're not going to accept a democracy that's clearly been set up that way, you know what you're getting into.
Basically, I think it's becoming more democratic, right? Now we have 2 people that have to assume what is best for the co-working space. And we don't always agree, right? So I would totally buy the coffee machine, but I also can, to some extent, understand why Uwe does not want to buy the coffee machine now. But now it's only us 2. And I don't know, maybe if we are more people, it's a better representation of different positions. Maybe one of our positions is just our personal opinion and not so much what's really best for the business. And I think having more people will help, but of course there will be still decisions, and sometimes there are decisions where you don't agree.
Yeah, but again, if you put that on a bigger scale, now we talk coffee machine. Let's say in future we say our community has 100,000 less profit. Do we want to buy 3 apartments and rent them, or
yeah, it's the same.
we want to take the result out?
I think this is exactly the point. Put it on a bigger scale. Now we are 50 people. We have 50 members. This is what, like maybe a little bit less at the moment, but then more again, right? So it depends always on the season, of course. But scaling the things up. Maybe in 8 months we are 150 people, and this gives us a very, very different position. And this is, I think, I have heard from many people that they love it here. This becomes a new Neometa hotspot, and I'm convinced about that this will happen. Maybe not within 8 months, but maybe yes. Maybe we will be surprised. How big this scale would be, especially the more people will join into the core decision making on the board.
Because I can tell you from my experience by managing condominiums, and I'm managing kind of like little condominiums within 20 to 40 owners. We have general meetings every year deciding on what we have to do with our building. It's very hard to get everybody thinking in one direction. Some people would say, yes, that's great, let's paint the stairs. Others would say, no, I don't want to spend money on painting the stairs.
I think that is a great example. And also, I think this doesn't apply to our co-working space. And I tell you why. In my condominium, in my building, I'm in Pirin Lodge, I have exactly the same problem as you. And I can tell you, everybody has the same problem.
And you're only a member, and I have to manage that.
But here, we come together freely. This is a choice everybody makes. And everybody has a choice to book a flight and fly out next week, for instance. Whereas when you're owner of the condominium, because you put your stake in, this is not so easy. And therefore, this co-working space is a group of participants where they freely choose to be part of it. And that's a huge difference.
But are we still putting a stake in?
No, you still put a stake in, but it's also, I mean, it's a little bit different. So these condominiums are unhappy places in all the buildings. And I think here it's really more about the intentional community. I mean, and there's probably also a way to exit. I mean, Ian, who came to some of our game nights and lives in Untitled Chapter, she messaged me before that unfortunately she can't come, but she has a lot of experience with co-ops because she's already a little bit older and she did it in the UK already 20 years ago. And she said it's very important to also think about how can people exit.
Yeah,
so, and I think it must be an intentional choice to join, but there also must be a way how you can exit again.
So if you feel like your decisions aren't being acknowledged, you have an option
to
sell your...
and I think this is also good because generally we want people to do the same thing, right? So we want to share the same vision. If you don't share the vision of the majority anymore, and you feel also that the majority really doesn't want to come to your point, I mean, often it's also a negotiation, right? And I think it's great if we have people that say no, because sometimes they have a good argument for why they say no, and we can understand it better, and then maybe the majority decision changes based on arguments. But if you really feel like, okay, this is totally different from what I was setting out to do, and you're totally unhappy in it, then yes, there must be a possibility to exit.
Question I have really quick is on the, let's say the initial co-op group forms. There's the possibility for obviously adding more co-op members to the total, right? Which I'm assuming could happen two ways. Either you dilute everybody's shares, like if it's like 2,000 per person, and we each sell part of our share for 1,000 or something like this, right? You do another round, or you increase the value of the organization and it raises capital for the co-op in order to do additional investments or something like this. So that's one question. If there's any thoughts on how that might work. And then the other question is there going to be any sort of like voting or vetting process for people who want a share in the future? Or is it something, because I could imagine just an asshole with money showing up and being like, I want to buy it, and, and I'd be like, I don't want you to be a co-op member.
I would just add a question to Ryan, sorry, as well as kind of complimentary. Maybe a bit too early to say this, but what if there is a problem member of the co-op who we feel is too disruptive. The other members feel it's too disruptive, and we might be better off buying their shares, like buying them out.
I mean, I guess these would be mechanisms we'd build.
Yeah, so I think these are kind of the same question, and my answer to this is the co-op should decide. So I don't want to give you the answer.
This would all be written down.
Yeah, I mean, the idea is that this is in the bylaws, right? There's probably some bylaws templates for co-ops, and once we're at that stage, we look at a good example, and then we figure out, does this apply to us, and how do we want to do this? But I think it should
I did a bit of research on this already.
People like what is the co-ops that we actually want to build?
I think, you know, like I want to add there something. So I also, I mean, I'm answering with another question, which is probably the best thing to do. But I think, you know, like, should there be a cap? Should there? How many? Is there an exclusivity, or can every member be also a shareholder? You know, where do we draw the line? You know, like, and I think that's a great question. And also, it was always in my opinion, but because I think everybody should have the same chance to enter the co-op in a way. If we decide, like, we could have 50 co-op members, or maybe really every member can become a co-op. That also raises the question, actually, just to get along with that thought, you know, like, is there an exclusivity of being a shareholder, being part of the cooperative? I don't know, maybe there is. But also I thought, you know, initially maybe the value is 2,000 or 3,000 euros per share, and one man, one vote. I think that's very important. So it's like, and it doesn't exclude women. I think men is
they just don't vote.
A proper English term. One human, one vote. That's right. Let's put it that way. One human, one vote. Yeah, cool.
Or it might be the other way around. The more you invest in, the more votes you have.
But then this isn't.
No, but that's not a co-op. I mean, this is the whole thing we want to get away from, right?
Yeah.
I shared an article in the group. It was not that good, but there was one point to answer your question before about someone who, yeah, I understood the question. I mean, if the question is about buying a coffee machine or something like that, and your option is not the one which reached the majority, you won't make it a big deal. But if it's something bigger, like should we invest in a new location, etc. Well, there is as I understood in the article, there is a principle in the co-op that you are free to be in or out in any moment. So if you are in the co-op, at any moment you are free to get out. And actually, I saw that in my village in France. There was a cooperative for vineyard producers, and it was frequent that the vineyard owners were some years part of the co-op, then retired, then the management changed, and they went in again because of big decisions like that. So I think this is a principle of the co-op that answer to your question. What's my solution as a co-op member if I doesn't feel in agreeing with the vision, with the main decisions of the majority?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is something for the bylaws. I'm not sure if we can do it this flexible, but then then the question is, like, if 30% don't agree with the coffee machine and they're all leaving, like, how are the co-op shares being returned to people? But yes, I think it's like you need to share the same vision. I also think the decisions will just become bigger. I mean, now we make about, I don't know, 10,000 left profit, and we're talking about a 1,500 euro investment. Next year, we might make 100,000 left profit if we're 150 people. And then we talk about a 15,000 euro investment. And once we're like 5,000 people here, we will buy a whole building for 150,000. So I think it will only grow from here.
Exactly.
But the problem is the same, right? So, and I also think when we grow, we will also have more co-op members, because obviously this allows them also to have more capital for more investment. And this is maybe a way how we grow that. Okay, so now at this size, maybe we want to be 25. Once we are 150 people in the community, maybe we want to be 50 co-op members. Yeah.
I think if a member leaves the co-op, we should only return part of the capital so that people, when they enter, there is some commitments forever. You know, it's like I can join for 6 months and I'm leaving for 6 months and I'm going to get my money back and then I come back from July. So if you put in 2,000, you get maybe 1,000 back, so you kind of know the money is gone the moment I put it in. There's some long-term commitment there. And in terms of how many members we accept, I think if we vote on each member individually that we accept, it's going to automatically come up if there is a limit we want to adhere to.
I mean, I would put a time limit, like if you put in 2,000, you'd only get a full amount back after a certain number of years.
Yeah.
I wouldn't leave it open-ended because just me personally, if I'm putting in a business, that guarantees me I'm
losing 50%.
Only 50% back, I'm not going to invest.
No, and I think 50% is maybe too much. I mean, maybe there should be a joining fee to the co-op and then the actual co-op stake. And maybe not this high, but clearly there's a joining fee, and it means if you have a joining fee, also that obviously there's some money in the co-op, that the co-op can temporarily buy back shares. Maybe there's a time limit that you only get it back after a year, and we have a waiting list of people that want. So I think there's different mechanisms how we could do this.
Another question. By stake, do I have to pay membership fee?
I think yes.
Do we maybe get a special deal, membership deal, or something like this?
I think maybe yes too. But clearly, I mean, this was also one of the questions that came up early. And yes, Uwe and I, we are currently not paying for membership. So maybe this will change. Maybe not.
That doesn't mean we pay, you know, like we pay a lot more than a normal member, you know, like I think this is important to understand.
And of course, now the problem is if we say a share is €1,000,
I would love to pay
which just buys back the initial investment, it doesn't mean that now we can have 25 people that are no longer paying membership fees.
For sure.
So maybe there's some incentive mechanism, but I think these are two different things. So I think the co-op is an additional value on top of the membership. Actually, it's not true. You get a benefit, and I will get the benefit right now, and Uwe will answer the next question because I prepared something for everyone in the room.
Oh, very interesting.
I had a question about finance or something. I think I know the question, but just asking, are there any debt?
No, I mean, there is not a debt as such, you know, like we don't owe the banks, we don't owe anybody. But of course, the initial investment is within the co-working Bansko. So it's like, so by buying the shares, you know, like we would sell actually our shares to the co-op, you know, like this is the idea. And that's why we came up with a certain amount of people and with a certain amount of money, you know, like which is, it will not be, unfortunately, with the taxes we need to pay.
You're buying a piece of the brand co-working.
Exactly.
Okay.
So sorry for the remote people, but I guess this is only for the people who are here.
Yes. So as you already know, you get like a keychain tag, custom made from leather. If you commit to long-term to co-working Bansko by buying apartments, doing 12-month memberships, or having babies here and naming them after Uwe and Matthias. But as I said, for the co-op, we also need an additional incentive. So I spent all of my money on these very nice Chinese children-made co-working Bansko keychains. Yes, made with children's hand in China.
Chinese handmade.
So everyone gets one of those. Pass them on a little bit. No, but it's a little bit more robust than the leather keychains.
Really?
Yes, so basically, to answer your question, this is what you get as a co-op member. If you don't join on Sunday, please return it.
If you don't run away, we can just have it.
No, but actually, I'm also interested, and I want to throw this question back to the group. Actually, you know, like what could be the benefit for a co-op member additionally to a normal membership? You know,
and best would be if it's a benefit that is not impacting the cash flow. So it could be a benefit to the member, but not necessarily a cost to the co-working space.
You can ensure that you live here with tax authorities. That's one aspect I care about.
Why? Reduced mail or something?
But that reduces our cash flow.
Discounts in restaurants.
But this I can't influence.
Is it possible to just get employed by the co-working space like you above? if you are
okay, that's a very good question. And this is something we need to address the lawyer tomorrow. If we are part of the of this cooperative, you know, like also cooperatives has always been known to be non-profit, and this has changed in the past. But also, I think, you know, like the legal form of the cooperative is very important in the impact of each individual who is part of it. And I think this is, we need to address this on Sunday to the lawyer. You know, like what does this mean for you, Peter? You know, like being part of the cooperative and stuff like this. You know, like for your tax.
I think if we can pull it off, that if you become a member of the co-op, you can move here and prove that you live here. We will have a lot of growth for sure. But then people may come for the wrong reasons, but still.
Absolutely, yeah.
We have a betting process.
But I mean, this is also one of the questions. Does it really make sense? I mean, is this a benefit for co-op members? Do all co-op members want this? Or is this something that we should offer as part of the Nova Co-working Bansko thing as a paid add-on for people that want to do this?
That way you would create a lot of members maybe, but they are not really interested in division or in participate. And
but we have some level of member where they just donate €2,000 without doing much because they have to set up a company anyway to prove they live here. I have a friend who's coming over from America to set up a company here in December, so it's going to cost him maybe €1,000 anyway. So maybe he wants to spend, just give us €1,000, €2,000.
But maybe there is also okay. So what could be the distinguisher between, you know, like you want to be a real part of it, you know, like do you spend a certain amount of time here, for instance? Could be something where we could say, okay, if the cooperative members are spending that much time here, then it seems that they are more committed. So the mechanisms, you know, like, and I think this is a very interesting. These are all very valuable inputs and questions.
So we are about to have lunch soon, so we have lunch for everyone in the room. I think maybe first we ask the remote people if they have any other questions left. I don't know, Julie, do we have any questions left from the remote people?
No, so far only.
Okay, remote people, if you have any other questions, now is your time to speak up. No, I see people shaking a Bulgarian yes on remote. Nice.
Artyom says no questions at the moment. Chris has like the input that regarding co-ops and non-profits, he has a different opinion on that.
So for the afternoon sessions, the idea was basically to break into smaller groups to tackle specific questions like how would we actually do things in the future. Initially, I had the idea that there would be much more people in the room. Hence the breakout sessions. I don't know if we want to break out into smaller groups or if we want to have one big afternoon group. So topics would be, for example, how do we deal with operations? Like what happens on the operational side if we are co-op? How do we do marketing? How do we do community management? How do we deal with the business itself, like accounting, finances, stuff like this? Also, one topic that we always had between Uwe and I was infrastructure. And this is like buildings and constructions and stuff like this. I don't know if people feel very passionate about one of these very exciting topics and want to lead a breakout session, or if we just do this in a bigger group in the afternoon. Obviously, the advantage of the bigger group is we would stream the bigger group. Like here, if we are smaller groups, we can't stream it because we can't stream like 3 different groups online.
Since we're only about 10, 12 people, maybe it's better to stick together and discuss everything together, because at the end of the day, whoever wants to get on board wants to be familiar with everything that has been discussed.
Yeah, so the idea would be if we break out into groups, and tomorrow morning we have a summary session where kind of the results would be shared. So the breakout session would be more about actually making some progress and making some proposals.
We can still
and then
make
this would
progress.
be shared in
if we don't have enough time to discuss everything now, we can keep on tomorrow.
Sometimes it's better to be only 6 people in one group to make more progress. So, but we will see how this works out. I mean, we can always decide on the
Let's
spot.
try on the first topic and see.
We can try all together, and then if it's clear, like 3 people want to discuss one thing and 3 other people want to discuss another thing, we can split up.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So remote people, you can continue watch in the afternoon if you like. I think we are on the camera. I'm here on the camera. Hello, camera.
2 p.m.
At 2 p.m.
Europe.
2
p.m. Bulgarian time, right?
2 hours.
UTC plus 3.
Where's that?
2 hours.
Orea.
Oreja.
Yes, that's it. One line.
What is that?
It's below the church.
Okay, ciao guys.
You change your go.
See you later.
What time? 12:30.
Until 12:30 and then until 2 p.m.
Oh yeah, also so much other cool places.
Half an hour quick business break and then go to lunch.
Was? Da kein Schlüssel?
Doch, aber kein Anhänger. Und ich will auch keinen.
Nein? Okay, na gut. Könnte auch ein Kofferanhänger sein, dass man den Koffer wiedererkennen. Kann man auch als Halsanhänger tragen. Ist auch sehr schön. Ich gebe den zweiten für den Ohrring. Also es gibt ja mehrere Möglichkeiten.
Das ist immer wieder eine gute Idee.
Koffer wäre schon gut.
Ich erkenne meinen Koffer schon.
Aber andere, ja, nehmen wir mal mit. Ich kann den auch immer noch zu Hause irgendwo hinlegen.
Aber so als immer nomadischer unterwegs wird man
Usually, you know, like,
straflos werden.
it will last for the entire day, but with the streaming, it seems it's very fast.
I'm just trying to get my electricity turned on.
Here, oh my God. Sheepskin place. We like to call it sheepskin place. 3 Minuten lang.
There is actually GSD. There is in Chiang Mai. Have you been?
No.
Get it done retreat.
Really? No, just a friend of mine gave this.
Okay, no, Chris does it.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I think it's good. We've got some people here, also some people on YouTube. So
I think all of the headphones is much better now. Because you don't have the feedback and you can hear it's actually working a lot.
yeah, but it's the headphones. No, I wasn't doing the headphones. That's why I got that. But this headphone doesn't connect to this one, so I'm actually doing but yeah, I'm not sure to
Yeah, leave everything here. Yeah, yeah.